Hello everyone, my name is Ashley Wiley, and for the assignment for the picture book science activity, the book that I chose was called Motion, Push and Pull, Fast and Slow by Darlene Style. This book and overall science level would focus on kindergarten specifically as well as physical science. Um, and then it is what science and math content could be taught with this book. So, like I said, this would connect to physical science concepts, specifically teaching on the concept of motion and movement. The book mentions like how airplanes fly, how the buses move, how you're running to school, different movements that you can create, as well as on the playground going up and down, etc., stuff like that. So, as I mentioned, the book specifically made a comment about the movement of higher and lower. And this would be a great reference to addition and subtraction because when you add, you are increasing your number or you are putting more. So, you could always make another lesson relating to this book. Um, or even when it mentions like the student is running, okay, you can measure how farther did she get or stuff like that. And then the concept of subtraction would relate to the sentence addressing how you can move down lower in a form of motion. So that could be subtracting, right? Because you're losing an amount of height. Um, so that's how that could relate to science as well as mathematics. So the specific standard that this lesson would address is KMDA1, which describes the measurable attributes of an object such as length or weight, and then describes several measurable attributes of a single object. So a reference I saw specifically in the book that I connected to this concept was they mentioned a ball of yarn is unwinding and rolling. So you can specifically measure the width um, right, of the raveled yarn. So maybe it started this big, and when it's starting to unravel, it becomes this big, right? See how it decreased in size, which can also connect to part of your mathematic aspect if you're relating it to the story. Then, since you can also relate this to math because you're trying to find out how far the yarn rolled away, right? Which is a measurable concept. If it started from this big and rolled down to this big, how far did it go? So that's what I would specifically mention to the students to relate to one of the concepts of the NGSS standard. And then how could you integrate this into multiple subjects? So as I mentioned, you can integrate this into science as well as mathematics, but a lot of lessons can also be directed to literacy, specifically because we are reading a book to our students. So this could be done as a read aloud. And then as a class, you can do collaborative speaking. So you can say, hey, Sarah, what was your favorite part? Or, oh, my favorite part was when da da da. And then the students can raise their hand because now teacher shared what they enjoyed. And then the students will feel comfortable expressing themselves. And then to build upon that activity, you can have students focus on writing skills because this is another part of literacy that can relate to this, and have them write of an example. Maybe they can't think of their own time where they've made a specific movement. You can have them write about a specific movement done in the story. So the students were playing in the playground in one of the photos. So one of your students can write, oh, the girl was um, sliding down the slide, or the kid was on the seesaw. Or you can also encourage them to form their own sentences. So maybe I ran with Sarah. Sarah jumped off the swing, or something like that, to form a relation to the story of motion as well as connecting with literacy.